Mayor's meeting with the
Conversation.
Okay, never mind. Let me start this meeting. I will call the special council meeting of September 6, 2023 to order. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Please call roll.
Perry. Bilski.
Here.
Klein.
Here.
Duber.
I will make a motion to approve the special council meeting minutes of August 2nd, 2023. Do I have a second?
Second.
Are there any changes or corrections? Nobody? Okay. Anna, please call roll.
Perry. Yes. Bilski.
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
Vincent.
Yes.
Silver.
Yes.
Herland.
Yes. I will make a motion to approve the council meeting minutes of August 9th, 2023. Do I have a second?
Second.
Changes or corrections? Okay. Anna, please call roll.
Perry.
Anything? Perry?
Perry. Sorry. Bilski.
Yes.
Klein. Duber.
Yes.
Vincent. Silver.
Yes.
Kurland.
Yes. I will now make a motion to authorize the purchase of a Power Pro 2 cot from Stryker Medical for a price not to exceed $32,000. Do I have a second?
I add some information to this purchase. This is a cot that we were granted a fund. We were given a grant, and if you remember, Chief Wilson was talking about Dan Fritz was in the middle of this grant at the unfortunate timing of his passing, and we got the grant, and we bought the cot, and we already have it. But we never asked you if we could spend the up to $32,000. So please forgive us. We got a grant of $24,000, so the net costs to us was $7,682.80. And was that the cot that was demonstrated to the council people at the new? Oh, it would be horrible to have to send that back.
Okay.
Can I ask just a quick question? I noticed in the rural response it said, I thought I turned that down, sorry. Please do not stray from the budget in big bold letters on, did it have to be that amount, or is it okay that we are spending an additional 7 on that?
I don't know what you mean. We need council's permission to spend anything over 15, and we went and bought it. So it's like we spent 32,000.
I just want to make sure,
Council's approval.
yeah, they just have a caveat here that says if you make the purchase,
Where are you looking?
It's just from the grant. It's what they approve the grant for you, they ask you not to go over what you had asked
put in the packet.
I can answer that. What you're looking at there is from what we submitted to BWC. We don't go over that. They're only going to give us the amount that we submitted. So we had submitted, I couldn't tell you the exact numbers. I don't have them in front of me. 31,000 something, I believe, 31,661. And if we go over that, they're only going to give us what we submitted for. But we didn't go over it. We actually came in a couple hundred under it.
Thank you.
Comments? No? Then Anna, please call roll.
Perry. Bilski.
Yes.
Klein.
Yes.
Duber.
Yes.
Vincent. Silver.
Yes.
Kurland.
Yes. Okey-dokey. Are there any audience comments related to agenda items? No. Okay. It's old business of pending legislation in motion. There is none. New business in consideration of an ordinance amending the annual appropriations. Current expenses and other expenditures of Orange Village during the calendar year ending December 31st, 2023. This is the first reading. and the administration is requesting a suspension of the rules. So I will make a motion to suspend the rules for ordinance 2023-12. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mr. Klein. Do we want to?
Perry?
We have
We have to vote on the
We're going to do the roll.
on the suspension.
the suspension, sorry. My
I
fault.
thought you said Perry? Bilski?
Yes.
Klein?
Yes.
Duber?
Yes.
Vincent?
Yes.
Silver?
Yes.
Kurland?
Yes. Okay, now we can discuss things. Mrs. Cavender?
Oh, you look injured.
This couple days ago, so it's just a little sore. For your amendments, we have, I think, 4. On 5015, the transportation for street maintenance, we are increasing that $30,000. That's due to an unexpected repair to the Squad 3. That was done earlier and approved, and that was already handled, but it wasn't handled in the budget. So this is the budget amendment to catch up for things that happened earlier this year.
New vehicle?
Yeah, that was the motor that we had to buy.
So it was a large repair that wasn't anticipated in the original budget, so we're making the amendment there for that. Pinecrest TIF fund was reduced $291,000. That's just showing, adjusting it to the actual distribution for the TIF funds that went to Pinecrest. And the debt service fund was increased $64,000, and that's to adjust the debt service for the rec trail bonds. Once I got the final figures, the budget needed to be amended for that. And then the capital equipment increased just over $72,000. That's to match the grant funds that we got for the citywide cameras. When we had put the budget amount, it was just for that initial installment. It wasn't for the total amount of the grant. So we actually received more, so therefore we are spending more. So that's just updating the budget for that grant fund as well as the COT that you just previously.
Any other questions? No? Make a motion to pass ordinance 2023-12. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Mrs. Perry. Anna, please call roll.
Perry? Yes. Bilski?
Yes.
Klein?
Yes.
Duber?
Yes.
Silver? Yes. Kurland?
Yes. Okay. Ordinance 2023-13, an ordinance amending section 521.11, trimming of trees, shrubs, and weeds required, and section 1331-04, exterior areas of properties, maintenance, premises identification, and enacting new section of the Orange Village codified ordinances to permit naturalized landscaping, first reading. So Judd, did you want to talk about this a little bit?
I can. We also have Bob McLaughlin here from the building department, who is going to be tasked with enforcing this new ordinance. This came about as a result of some conditions that we've observed in the village. A number of homes have allowed their landscaping to become overgrown, and we needed to find a way in which the building department would be able to monitor and manage their these conditions. In certain cases, individuals have made the assumption or produced an idea that they're trying to create a natural landscaping, which is just allowing the plants and trees to grow how they grow and not maintaining them in any way. Therefore, we needed to have a mechanism by which the building department can direct people who want to do this, because anything that's not in the code, they can't do. So if they want to create naturalized landscaping, we created a mechanism by which they can go about getting approval for such. And that's what we've ended up with. Along with that, we've produced a set of guidelines to enable people who are interested in pursuing this to understand what's required and what it's all about. the primary areas that we wanted to focus on, if you'll look at 131.104 exterior areas of properties, maintenance, premises, identification, paragraph A sub 2. Look at the items that are listed there. Landscaping that displays the following conditions are those in which the building department will have authority to act upon. Design pathways within landscape that are blocked by overgrown foliage, meaning you can't get to the front door of the house. Dead plantings that ought to be removed. Standing water that ought to be eliminated, so that we don't have mosquitoes and other things spawning. Pruned or trimmed branches or other landscape debris on the ground that isn't being picked up. And foliage that blocks the sight lines of vehicles, and this is probably the most important of them, or pedestrians on public or private roads or driveways. So if you're pulling out of your driveway and the landscaping is overgrown and you can't see, you have a potential to get into an accident. And therefore, we felt it was important that we have a means by which the building department could cite individuals for their maintenance. Up till now, the only thing they can cite is grass cutting. And so this gave them a tool in which to do that. So that's the summary. Bob, you want to?
Primarily, I expect it to be complaint-based. We have a couple of properties that we have been dealing with over the last couple of years, and ultimately, when all you have is the blunt instrument of cut your grass and trim the trees that are hanging over the public sidewalk, we were really pretty limited in how we could address that. So this at least gives us these two things together, give us an opportunity to require someone to provide a plan. I've had people come and say they wanted to make turn their front yard into a wildflower patch, right? But our code didn't have any kind of process by which I could assess what was reasonable or unreasonable. This now says, if you want to do something like that, you can go to the Planning Commission, Architecture Board of Review specifically, with a proposed plan and let ABR make the assessments of what would happen, what are the conditions of another one that someone who wanted to let their back 80 feet of land regrow back into a forest. Well, I don't have anything other than cut your lawn in the code currently. So again, it's more of an opportunity for a process. It's creating of a process in order for people who want to do something unusual to go to ABR, get approval for that, so that we're not, in the building department, the ultimate arbiters of appropriate or inappropriate as far as landscaping is concerned.
Can you clarify the notification process, especially, we're looking at in the wake of storms, for example, that the debris is everywhere and there isn't a pickup until September 11th, which was 2 weeks or 2.5 weeks after. How will that work as far as notification? At what point do you say, we're coming in and taking care of this, and then you have to pay for it?
Well, the only authority that we have to go in and take care of that is to cut your lawn. All right, so what you're asking is a different question when debris is put out before the scheduled date. The simple rules are that we would give them an order to remove the material, all right? In the current case, because this happened a couple of weeks, the storm happened for the intended deadline, I'm not busting anybody's chops for having cleaned up their yard. We did go out and look and make sure and have some people pull the branches that they put out that were hanging out into the right-of-way over the street. So we just dealt with the safety aspects of that. But as with all things, reasonable, application of the rules is how we have to deal with that kind of thing. And so that's how we dealt with this a couple of weeks ago with the people having to clean up after the storm. This has no bearing on that, this legislation. What we're talking about is a failure to maintain their landscaping, to cut their lawn, to trim their again, right now the rules are trim your trees if it's at least 8 feet above the public sidewalk, and that's all I really have for trimming of trees. This is not an awful lot more. Look at this list, it's pretty limited. You have to make sure that your shrubs are not preventing police and fire from getting to your door. You have to make sure that you're not allowing ponding or brush to be left that built up, or broken limbs and trees laying in the yard. This just is more specific on some of those things. And even at that, this is not something that we're going to have the service department go address. That's a violation issue that we would end up in court over. Grass is the only thing that we have the authority, grass and trees that are dangerous and to the right-of-way, are the only thing that our code allows us to actually take direct action. And that's not changing in this. This is just a new process, a new method, procedure for someone who wants to do something unusual, like let the back 80 feet of their lot regrow into a forest. Well, I don't know how that should be done, but so that would fall to ABR to say, yes, these are the conditions. This is the plan. They'd have to produce a plan and approve it. So that's the...
What it does, it gives the building department the authority to direct the homeowner to develop a plan for this action that they want to take in terms of creating this natural landscaping for their yard. And then it's directed then to the Architectural Board of Review for consideration. It gives them that tool that they don't have right now, that has a set of guidelines. The actual legislation piece does not need to go to Planning Commission. This will be, is that correct, Steve?
Right.
Does not need to go to Planning Commission. It would be handled entirely here at Council for approval. However, the guidelines that come with it, because those are going to be the tool that the Architectural Board of Review uses to adjudicate those plans that do in fact come subsequently, that will go to Planning Commission for review and consideration.
A lot where a lot of houses claim to have natural.
One that takes the prize.
I would say no. It is fairly rare, but because it's very difficult to address, it's kind of a thorn in the side for the people who are having to live with it in their neighborhoods, and there's limits as to what we can do. So this will not solve most people's concerns, because it's still limited. I think it needs to be, right? Because our landscaping is a very subjective thing. So it's not like the rules for building a deck. But it allows just an opportunity, a pathway, that doesn't put the building department in charge of landscaping assessments for unusual things. Most of the time, we're not going to have to deal with this. People are going to just do their landscaping, and it's going to be fine. It's the ones that really want to do something that the code, where they just want to let their grass grow or let their back lawn turn back into a forest. Those are things that I don't have any procedure for, and this provides for that.
It turns out that there's a financial need or a physical where somebody can't take care of it. Do we have anything to help?
We can give them information of things that are available from the county, low interest loans. Or, what's the name of the place we joined, restoration?
The home.
What is it called? They have to be 50 years or more. There's one other source of help if they do.
The people or the houses have to be 50 years old? The houses. Oh, I was like, that's pretty high.
Programs. There was a time we talked about having a pot of money, but where do you end?
Right.
So this provides a process where people can, if they want to have a collaborative conversation and ask for approval, they can go through the process and bring it to the ABR. But what if they don't, or they don't want to cooperate? Are there fines or assessments? You mentioned an assessment. Is there something like that that would?
This would be a violation of the building code. This 1331 is a building code, and we're adding a section that says landscaping has to meet these requirements.
All right.
And so ultimately, yes, I would, just as I have authority to cite someone to maintain their house, and then we end up, the normal process is a violation letter would go out, we would try to contact them, we would order a building commissioner hearing to make sure that they had an opportunity to come in
Got it.
and provide clarity, and ultimately, failure to comply, for whatever reason, all right, leads to court.
Okay.
And so this is.
Wanted to make
so
sure I
different.
understood where it goes.
Is there a time frame on this? This all has to happen
The
within?
timeframe really is how I choose to operate. I will tell you that as a matter of course, in all of those things, as I tell my staff, what we want is to get progress and then keep that progress moving to completion, all right? And so I'm happy to work with people in the timelines, but, you know, continued delay on even getting started is going to end you up in court. All right? But having said that, I've been in 2 cases in court in the last 2 years. This is not something that I'm interested in doing, and for the vast majority of people, what you need to do is just make sure that they understand clearly what the first step is. Call contractors. Talk to me after you've got some bids, and, you know, just kind of, you know, guide them through that. And
How will this legislation help us with the one house that caused this whole question to come up in the first place?
in a limited way, admittedly, right? Because the people looking at that house would love things to be dramatically improved. This is to at least allow us to say, your overgrown stuff growing over the front door and preventing access for service or for the police and fire to get into your house in an emergency, that's not okay. So those are orders that can come from this. To make it pretty, not so much.
Okay.
Well, and there was one property where the property owner wanted to let the back go into.
Yes, exactly right.
There's no process by which they could be allowed.
Exactly.
To do that. And of course, we have a landscape architect who can advise on how, you know, what needs to be planted and that sort of thing to have a proper meadow.
So those 2 properties, frankly, are the ones that I think of when I'm thinking of this. I don't have a ton of these that would fall into this category. We may get more, that's always the case, but you know, the bottom line is we needed a process where I could send people, and we had at least defined what the minimum standards were going to be as far as violations of basic landscaping other than high grass over 8 inches and trees growing over this public sidewalk, which is all we really had to work with in the first place. So this spans that. Gives us something else to work with.
Any other questions?
The clarification.
Do you want to speak up so we can hear you?
Question from the audience.
Name your address.
Apologize because I didn't review it totally, but is it the intention that the service department is going to treat this process like we're doing with tall grass or with tree removals? And then should there be a fee structure? Was a fee structure ever considered if the service department engages in this if it's not done? Because that's the process that we've done for a number of years.
And
this ultimately could be a rather large undertaking.
it could be, and that's not, so the code has not been changed with respect to what my authority will be relative to service department, high grass, or the trees overhanging public sidewalks. That's still the limit on involving the service department. The rest of it is violations and ending up in court. Like I deal with a property.
Status won't be changing at all. You'll still do tall grass only.
I understand that, but is this additional if a citation is given with branches down in the yard, trees or, you know, brush that needs to be brought out.
The remedy under the code is a citation to court and ultimately an injunction if that needs to
Can't we
happen.
bring in an outside company to and put on their tax bill?
It's legislation.
Oh. That's with other things.
Okay.
We're starting with a defined standard, and if we discover that we need more tools to accomplish the result, we'll have that. This is what's been requested so that Bob has a standard, so if he's going to cite somebody.
Yeah, I
he knows.
know, and I know we have one for the
No, thank you.
Not today.
Well, that's,
Not allowed to water the plants.
But I feel bad that this wasn't run by Bob, but your question's answered.
Everyone's good? Then, thank you, Mr. McLaughlin. So, thanks.
thank you, Bob.
We're good? Okay. Resolution 2023-5, a resolution accepting the amounts and rates as determined by the Budget Commission and authorizing the necessary tax levies and certifying them to the county fiscal officer. I will make a motion for passage of Resolution 2023-5. Do I have a second? Thank you, Mrs. Perry. Anna, please call roll.
Perry,
Yes.
Yes.
Klein,
Yes,
Duber,
Yes.
Vincent,
Yes.
Silver,
Yes.
Kurland.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Anyone want to hear anything?
Yeah, if you could just share a little color on that. Give her the microphone. Oh, you're a trooper.
She's broken.
I handed you the microphone.
This is the rate resolution, so when we did last summer, when we did the tax budget, that set the property tax rates, and you demonstrated that you needed the property tax millages for our operations, this is the next step. So this is setting your property tax rates. So we authorize this is due back to the county by September 30th, and then they will work towards next year's property tax bills. And this is the 7 mills, there's no change. It has the general fund, the police pension, and then the 406, the permanent capital improvements.
the infrastructure.
The infrastructure loan, yeah. Those are the levies that are included in the rate resolution. So this is just establishing the property tax rates so that they will process them and collect the funds for us next year.
It's
Gotcha.
just the standard bookkeeping every year.
We do this every year, yes. This is the next step from the tax budget is the rate resolution.
Okay, thank you.
Alrighty then. Are there any audience comments related to matters which advance the good of the village? I'm seeing not.
Mark has his hand up.
Sorry? Mr. Silberman, you want to come on up? You to give us your name and address and all that fun stuff? Up to the mic? No, because we won't be able to hear you on the
Doesn't
recording.
mean no.
Gotta come on the,
Good evening, Mark Silberman, 29549 North Hilltop Road. Comment I have is I understand there is legislation in place or an ordinance in place with respect to commercial vehicles being parked in driveways or around homes. Require either indoor parking or a structure to be built to house them. I'm wondering, is there any enforcement?
Trucks have to be housed. If you see one, call us, call him, and we'll be right out.
How about commercial vehicles with advertising like vans or what have you?
It has to be garage.
All right. They're not.
Get to know Bob McLaughlin.
All right, that's, okay, thank you. I'm sorry. I guess the comments by the mayor come next?
The other option for help for a house that's over 50 years old that we do have access to as Orange Village residents because we pay an annual fee for that is called Heritage Home. It came to Anna while after we got past that point. This is Monday, September 11th, is branch chipping. Please have your items out prior to 7 a.m. Scrap tire collection is ongoing and continues through September 15th at the Service Department, daily from 7 to 3. The Fire Department is doing hydrant flushing to ensure the hydrants are working properly. It says, please visit the website for more information. Does the website tell us what neighborhoods we're going to be in and when, or? It'll take 2 weeks to go throughout the village? So what will a resident see if you're on their street flushing?
Usually.
They might see some brown tinge to their water, but that's about it.
Okay, I know we put something in the last e-news, but we should get something out again to remind. Didn't we put the
Believe it, Anna put it out, and it's also on the
website?
marquee board out front.
Okay, and does it talk about if you see a tinge, it's okay? You'll be getting phone calls.
I can't. I don't know. Anna put it in. It's on the website. There we go.
Well, everyone checks it daily, I know.
Coming out of our faucet will be brown, or what we see coming out of the?
Could be
The water coming out of your
a
faucet.
little bit of tingy brown, but it shouldn't be too bad.
Let it run from.
Tastes fine.
We'll run clear.
Did you ever drink water out of a fountain hose when you were a kid?
We had that recently.
We are currently offering steering wheel locks to residents. We got another supply, so you can pick one up at the police department, 8 to 4 p.m. daily, while supplies last. If you are wondering what beautiful thing is going up over there by the, on the park greens, it is a new pavilion, and the service department has been working on it, so please be careful if you're near there. Tuesday, October 10th, beginning at 7 o'clock p.m., we will be having candidates night. It will be moderated by Barbara Greenberg, who has been a court magistrate and has also served as our mayor's court in the past. She was a resident. She is not any longer, but she's still got all the credentials. And we anticipate at 7 o'clock giving the school board president a few minutes and then going straight to council people. You'll have a minute or two for opening remarks. You'll have a minute or two for closing remarks. We'll get more specific. Questions are being asked to be submitted ahead of time so that the moderator doesn't have to, be working while she's trying to read questions. So that's the hope, that we'll have enough and questions ahead of time. And then no more than an hour, we'll start the mayors, and you'll have a few more minutes to introduce yourselves and a few more minutes for closing, and I think a whole hour for the mayors, for the two candidates for mayor as well. For the one candidate who's not here tonight, who's running unopposed, it is a good chance to introduce yourself to the community, but he's not here right now. Next week, we'll be ready next week, Chief Wilson, to be asking for confirmation for some new fire department employees.
We'll have 2 lieutenants and 3 new firefighters.
As well as promoting 2 lieutenants in the fire department.
I steal your thunder there? I'm sorry.
Man. Next week's finance meeting is canceled. And that's all I have to say, I think.
Oh, I don't, well, okay. Mr. Silverman, you have a quick question? It's a little out of time.
The newsletter that you sent out, Mayor, had candidates night starting at 7:45.
No way. If it did that, it's a huge mistake.
Yeah, we'll fix it. It's 7.
He said in the written newsletter that came in the mail? Yeah. Oh, shoot. Wrong.
It's possible.
I hope you're wrong.
Okay,
We'll put out more mailers.
we'll check into that.
Mailers, but emails and stuff. Okay, do we have a recent one there, Bob? Okay, we're gonna know the answer to this.
I had 7 in my notes, but.
Okay, the copy of the newsletter that's on the website is 7 o'clock.
Yeah, it was right in the newsletter.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a picture of it.
Okay,
Alarm.
all good.
Well, I've been known to make many.
I actually have no comments this evening, shockingly enough, so, Mr. Gruber? Mr. Silver?
Chugging ahead with Orange for the Holidays 2023. I know we've all been making calls to businesses we're dealing with. Pretty good response so far. Ones I deal with, doing for this year. Anna, question for you: When do you want to have like everything finalized so you can kind of start producing it?
When do you want them all, when do you want it out again? Oh, are you?
With the packets again.
Annual calendar in November. Or like
Oh.
early December. We're doing one more mailing.
It's correct.
Thank you, thank you. I don't know yet. I haven't even started my calendar.
Park, like.
We could talk about it.
Okay.
What did you say, Anna?
I said I didn't even start the calendar.
It's the same schedule as last year, to be like mid-October. I think we're early October, mid-October.
There's no way. There's no way.
No?
We can't have it ready yet. No, we're doing it so we send it out before the holidays, whether it's Thanksgiving or.
Right, no, for our deadline to get information back. Yeah,
So that I can have it done.
Okay, let's.
yeah. I think you said early. It was like October, around the debate time. Yeah.
Get it all printed up and
Right,
everything.
we're right.
Okay, that's a different deadline.
All business is October 1st. Does that seem reasonable?
Does that give you enough time?
If you could get by October 1st. And you know what, they never give it to you then anyway, they always make changes anyway.
Yeah.
So at least it gets us some,
Time, they've been doing it enough.
that's fine.
Okay, we'll go with that as our.
And we can change it, it's not, you know.
That's all I got. Thank you.
Mrs. Berry?
Well, I had a comment, but the mayor.
Finance meetings?
Meeting's canceled.
Oh.
We'll cover 2 months in October.
Mr. Bilski?
First of all, welcome back to school to all the families. Very happy to be back there, and nice to walk through the hills of Moreland and PPLC once again. I mean,
And into you in the preschool.
we did it pick up in the same room with classmates. And then I have another question or comment, and which of you this is directed to? Maybe you, Bob. I've had a few families in various neighborhoods now throughout the village ask about speed bumps, maybe even removable speed bumps, like kind of similar to what they do in the parking lot at Eaton Collection for near Trader Joe's. But I don't know if that's something to think about, or I don't know how. If you've had many complaints from folks around the village in terms of people speeding through some of the main streets throughout the neighborhoods, but just wanted to kind of mention that publicly. And I don't know if you have anything to comment on now, or we can talk about it offline. But
Yeah, I can also say that somebody in my neighborhood asked for a speed bump too.
yeah.
Boy, we've talked about this so many times over the years, but have at it again.
People just go flying over them.
Oh.
People down, people speed bumps, slow people down for a minute, and then they speed up. And there you have problems with snow plowing.
He's got this covered.
To mention the biggest one, if everybody's, I use Orangewood, for example.
Yeah.
And a majority of the lawns, yards are taken care of by landscapers. They run through trailers. All I ask you is, where do you want the speed bumps? Because that will be the first resident that will complain every time a truck, a trailer, a delivery truck goes over, bounces and bangs. So you determine where that would go. I personally would be against them. I think the simple thing is, at the HOA, continue to broadcast this out to the residents there.
Yeah.
The majority of the time, I'm sure the police chief can back me up, is the residents living within the development. Orangewood is not considered a cut-through because people are not going to take Orangewood to shortcut going to Lander Road.
Right.
It would take way longer with the stop signs and stuff. So, and everything that Mr. Duber explained to as well. It's boring bumps into, or, boring anchors into there, which is
Yeah.
long-term going to degrade, be problematic and stuff. So I can go on and on.
I hear what
Answer.
I hear what you're saying, and I can appreciate that. I know even at Eaton they remove them in the winter time because it's a pain in the butt.
Talk to your HOA. I mean, they put in these signs that have the speed flags like we have around the village. I think the chief
To say the
They're somewhat effective.
more the signs.
Down that. No, I'm not saying the village, but your HOA can. That's what mine.
Is he?
My condo association put in those speed bumps. I think every resident hates them.
Really? I can understand. What about what about the use of removable speed bumps, like that? If like the homeowners actually put them out, maybe while their kids were playing in the street, is that even permitted?
The kids are playing in the street. We just built sidewalks.
So
Those neon signs.
I'm asking for the street White Oak Trail specifically in Orangewood, but then I know there's a few others where just people again just delivering the message. But
White Oak is a cul-de-sac.
I know, but still people.
Talking about the traffic?
I think it's not necessarily the homeowners, but I think with a lot of the delivery drivers, we get some Uber, DoorDash, whatever and that's what people are thinking about, not necessarily the people who live there. And there's a lot more of those now. So I hear exactly what you're saying, and I know it's probably difficult to figure out the placement, and they're not, but it's a tricky thing. Just wanted to share them.
As simple as it may seem.
No, I understand. All right, thank you.
Okay, you're good?
All good.
Mr. Klein?
Thank you. Planning Commission met last night, had a pretty lively meeting with a couple of significant issues that were discussed. One will be coming here next week in the form of the final variance submission for 4240 Cambridge Court. Worked through finding of fact and recommendation for approval of the variance for that property. We had another discussion on a house addition and some other smaller projects that were done. I want to take this moment, as we have first read the ordinance for the landscaping, to thank the group that worked very hard to make this, put this together. It was an arduous task over the last probably 8 months to produce it. Kathy Moran, who is our landscape architect, worked very, very hard, and along with Bob McLaughlin, Mark Majeski, our planner, in developing the language for this proposed ordinance, and I hope for its passage after third reading. And that's all I've got. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Go back to me. So the gas station at the building, on Miles and Springer, there's just like a couple random people that are always there with like carrying a purse and a shovel and like digging around on the weekends. I think that they might somehow be involved in it, but it's kind of bizarre. Like one was digging with a purse and there was a guy in the backhoe with a purse. Yeah, it was really weird. But I've seen them like every weekend. I think it's somehow involved with ownership for people who.
Oh, it's his wife that's there.
Yeah, but they're like there on the weekends, like playing with machines and like digging and stuff. It's bizarre. I just wasn't sure if that.
I think that's the owner that's there.
And yes, that's the morning before. Well, no, I don't think they're trying to do anything like illegal. It's just bizarre. I don't know. You think that actual like people who are contracted.
Okay, well, thanks for sharing that. Mrs. Vincent?
Thank you. First and foremost, I want to thank Bob Zugan, Ron Nide, Bob McLaughlin, and Mayor Mulcahy for coming to our rescue when our beautiful pear tree took a huge hit in the big storm a couple weeks ago. Their immediate responsiveness just completely reinforced my belief that we have the very best team around. So I just want to say thank you. Especially Ron came over immediately, discovered a potential electrical issue where a wire had been clipped, and he was just so kind and helpful. And I know that branch, we've got branches covering our front yard right now from that tree that we finally were able to cut down. Yeah, I did, because it's not pretty. And I know I talked with Bob about why we can't do an earlier chipping pickup, and I completely understand, and I appreciate all that the service workers are doing, and especially with the pavilion coming up. So, well, the storm was a couple weeks ago, and a couple of people have noticed, why do we have to have the branches? Why do we have to wait so long? Why can't we do an earlier chipping? And so I asked him, and he explained explained it, and that's fine. So just a reminder, once again, to have your branches out on the 11th. Speaking of storms, a reminder from our neighbors in Pepper Pike in the wake of the recent power failures for everyone to be aware of the risks of carbon monoxide poisoning in the home. It's an odorless, colorless gas that can cause headaches, fatigue, vomiting, dizziness, mental confusion, or far worse. Just everyone, it's a good time to make sure you have an active carbon monoxide detector on each floor of your home, including the basement.
So if the power goes out, you don't have a carbon monoxide detector anymore?
No, well, it depends how, I mean, I don't know how the workings of it.
So I wouldn't have one.
Some of them have battery backups to them.
So, yeah.
Backup batteries, no?
Most of them have, they have battery backups.
Mine's on battery, so yeah. Just a reminder just to check it. I think they're supposed to be good for 5 to 7 years, so just a reminder to check it. I'm sure you've read it by now, but if you haven't, I wanted to let you know that Orange Library Branch Manager Tony Farino, who was here last month, has moved to the Garfield Heights branch. Tony spoke here. He's been a huge asset to our entire community. And as I noted, he seamlessly filled the extraordinarily large shoes that were left by his predecessor. And it's been an incredible friend, and not only to the schools and to REC, but to all of the communities that in this district. A replacement has not yet been announced. He will be missed. Speaking of the, it's a bigger branch, yeah. So it is a move up for him. He's happy to be doing it, but he said he will miss everybody here. Speaking of the library, I was asked by one of our residents, Amy Lurie, who is the Information and Technology Literacy Manager at CCPL, to let everyone know that if you need help navigating technology or need assistance acquiring connectivity, CCPL offers a wonderful digital navigation program. Qualifying families who need financial support can apply for the Affordable Connectivity Program. They receive $30 off their monthly internet bill and a one-time $100 credit towards a new device. The digital navigators also meet individually with customers to provide one-on-one help with basic digital literacy skills. So hopefully we can share the links on our website. It's really a wonderful program. As Ryan mentioned, the school year is underway. Renovations were completed on the high school. They look beautiful. Check it out if you ever get a chance. And a reminder to all drivers to be cautious and follow all school bus laws and protocols. If you need a gentle reminder, check out the Orange Schools website story entitled, "Do You Know When to Stop for a School Bus?" And it was put out by our transportation department there and has breakdown of the rules. I want to congratulate the 42 newly inducted members of the National Honor Society as of 7:30 this morning. Orange Village's own Maya Corland is one of the officers who hosted the ceremony, and many of the new inductees obviously are Orange Village residents, so congratulations to all of them. The Pride of Orange High School Marching Lion Band was featured on Fox 8 a few weeks ago. They'll be performing at Solon High School's annual band bash this Saturday night with a host of other bands. It's a wonderful program. If you're looking for some fun on Saturday night, go check it out. I believe it starts at 7. The school board next meets on Monday, September 11th, but first we have the mayor's meeting tomorrow, as you asked me to share. Will this be your last mayor's meeting with the board?
This will be my last.
So we'll have to do something special at it tomorrow.
Time to plan it. It's still 11 hours away.
Right, so we'll get on that right afterward. OCER is looking for instructors with passions for photography, dance, and any other artistic endeavors. If anyone's interested in sharing your passion for whatever it is and you'd like to teach at REC, they're looking for additional help. Sergeant Joy Sherwood has asked me to share that the Solon Orange Law Enforcement Exploring Program will begin in October. It provides young adults who may be interested in a career in law enforcement with a comprehensive program of training, competition, service, and practical experiences. We are sharing this with the school district. Please reach out to anyone you know ages 14 to 21 who may be interested. And the last thing I had, Brent already talked about, and that was Orange for the Holidays. So that concludes my report.
Yes, we have to we have to make a motion to adjourn to an executive session for the purpose of discussing employee discipline and compensation. I'll make that motion. Do I have a second? And we need to invite in, you invite people.
Who seconded? I have their name on the sheet. Is Mike Roberts?
And Mike Roberts? Okay. And Steve Byron.
Who seconded?
Who seconded it? Did someone second it?
Brent did.
All right, so thanks.
I think I,
Expect no business to take place after
don't we have to call roll?
We have to call roll. Let's do that, Anna.
Harry,
Yes.
Bilski. Klein,
Yes.
Duber,
Yes.
sorry, Vincent. Yes. Silver. Kurland.